According to the Daily Mail, around a quarter of high school students identify as gay, bisexual, or have a more fluid sexuality, according to official data. Now, the question is this something that is peer pressure? Is this something that's something else going on? Joining us now on the KVI studio line is the host of the Teresa Lusk Show, Teresa Lusk herself. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. So why don't you tell me what's going on here? Because the CDC's got its data, everybody's got its data, but what should we be pulling out of this?
Well, everybody's got their data, but the truth is that there is a lot of influence going on right now with this younger generation. They're finding that this is almost something cool to identify as. I mean, you know, if you can go back to the days when you were a teenager yourself, you wanted to be like all of your friends. Well, that's actually what's happening right now is we see a lot of kids feeling pressure to say, hey, I'm bisexual, I'm gay, or, you know, sexual fluidity is my thing. And the truth is that there's a lot of influence from their friends, of course, and also from the school system, and not to mention social media. So we're seeing these kids respond to so many different pressures. And to be honest with you, these younger kids, their brains are still developing, their identity is still developing. So I just think that with such a push in America right now, you know, this is exactly what the CDC would like to report. But the truth is that these kids are still developing, still growing up. And we have to let them go through their healthy process of developing their identity.
Do you think it might be a little bit more than that? Whereas when we were kids, and I assume that we're contemporaries, when we were kids, it was, okay, you want the latest style, or you want to have the latest music, or watch the latest TV show, whatever the case may be. But with regard to this, you have the schools incentivizing it. You know, they didn't incentivize us to watch Friends or Seinfeld, but here it's like if you identify a certain way, you're going to get special treatment.
Yes, and of course there's a push for that. And the reason for that is that if they can get everybody to agree on the same page, it pushes an agenda. An agenda is formed and moved by numbers, by force, by agreement. So you're training these kids that this is the cool thing to do, this is the acceptable thing to do. Now we're trying to teach on sexual orientation and preferences to young kids, kindergartners, first graders, when these kids aren't even old enough or developed enough to think about this. So unfortunately, we are seeing the effects of this push, and America is suffering for it. All you have to do is look around and see so much confusion, high levels of depression and anxiety because of this push. If you look at the high levels of anxiety, it's tied back to the fact that there's so much sexual identity confusion going on, and those kids who do identify as gay or bisexual, they are dealing with a higher level of anxiety themselves.
Do you think it's also more than that? Meaning right now, I mean, we have a majority white country. That's what we got right now. And white kids are being told that they're racist on top of everything else. So now it's not just that you got gender confusion, but on top of that, you're being told you're not good enough. You're responsible for systemic racism. You're an evil person. That's what they're teaching you in school. I mean, back in my day it was here's math, here's history, here's science. And it seems like nowadays, all this indoctrination, it's making things a whole lot worse.
It absolutely is, and it's unfortunate that that is what we are telling the white kids, because that's not fair to them. It's not fair to that our school systems and much of society is teaching them that they have to devalue themselves because they are of a different race. It's absolutely incredible in a negative way what is happening here, and we really need to get back to basic things that help our Americans have healthy mental health, teaching them about they have value regardless of the race that they are. And that would be a great place to start.
I find it entertaining, or actually tragic, I would say. It's like I'm an Orthodox Jew, right? And I'm being told that I'm a practicing member of systemic racism. I'm a white supremacist or something. We have plenty of people that immigrate from other countries. What, you're going to tell the people who came from Europe or whatever it is that they're systemically racist because they just moved here and they're part of it because of the color of their skin? If you're just joining us, we're talking with pastor and Christian counselor Teresa Lusk, who hosts the Teresa Lusk Show, which focuses on business, faith, family, and politics. So what's the path forward? Because right now, thank God my kids go to private school, but I also notice in private school some of the stuff starting to seep in where it's like, well, you know what? We have to be tolerant of everybody's ideals. We have to be tolerant of everybody's faith. It seems like everybody's just saying, yeah, we have to get along, give along, get along to go along, whatever the case may be. And this is just getting worse.
Yeah, I tell people it's important. First of all, it starts in the home. We have to train our children that they have to love themselves for who they are, who God made them to be, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, etc. It starts there. And then teaching your children that it's okay to have a voice. It's okay to speak up for what you believe and to stick with it. And then I have said that in this season, the public school is really starting to influence your children in such a negative way. And if you get to the point where the voice of the parent can no longer pierce the heart of the child, then that's a good sign that it's time to pull your children out. Like you just mentioned, though, even some private schools are starting to get saturated. Well, you have the power as well because that's your money that you're paying for it. So unfortunately, we have to play that game. But if it comes down to your wallet, then you don't have to write that check any longer. You can find a school that lines up with you. If you have your children in public school, then you can make some serious financial adjustments and pull your child out. I actually personally did that to my children. We made some financial adjustments and put our children in a Christian school that we actually interviewed because just because it says it's a certain type of school doesn't mean it is. So I want to know, what will you be teaching my child? And if we begin to use our authority and our power, then we can begin to see change. But more parents have to be willing to do that, not just go with the flow. I've seen so many parents right now who go with the flow. They want to just say, well, this is what culture is. Oh, they're just kids. No, this is a whole different type of battle, and it's time for parents to rise up.
In the last few minutes we have with Teresa Lusk, who is the host of the Teresa Lusk Show, which focuses on business, faith, family, and politics. Do you think that the public school system is beyond saving? Do you think that the college system is beyond saving? I know those are pretty loaded, complicated questions, and you only got 2 minutes, but what do you think?
I do think that the school system has gone a little too far. And I think until the parents begin to make choices that reflect their family's values and move their children, until the school system really starts hurting, I don't know that they're going to make a change.
Gotcha.
Number one, the racism thing, that really has to start in families. The media has so much to do with it, as I don't have to tell you that for sure, but your listeners just being reminded, the media is constantly bombarding you and reminding you why America is racist. And it is an absolute lie. What we have to do is say, okay, America is not perfect. And that goes for all races. I'm a Latina, and I have found that I've experienced racism from every race, including my own. So the truth is that if we begin to take responsibility for ourselves, see how we can make a positive impact ourselves for this great country, I think it can start to make a change, but I do think it's going to have to be something we do consistently and intentionally.
Pastor and Christian counselor Teresa Lusk, host of the Teresa Lusk Show, which you can catch everywhere, including YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Teresa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.